if Arch is so damn good, why didn't he beat out Quinn Ewers? Quinn Ewers was not a great quarterback. He went in the 7th round, and I think he missed 4 or 5 games in 2 years as a starter. That right there is a red flag about durability. Arch may be a really good quarterback one day, but he has no offensive line to protect him. Florida sacked him 6 times. They had multiple pressures throughout the game. And Texas is going to be lucky to win. The way they look right now, 6 or 7 games. They haven't beaten. Look, if you look at Texas and Texas and Penn State have not beaten a Power 4 team this year.
Yeah.
And they were ranked 1. How dumb are a lot of the people out here in the media that it can't. I mean, I don't buy the Penn State Kool-Aid. I don't buy the Texas Kool-Aid. I didn't buy the LSU Kool-Aid, but I did think Florida would win 10. I thought they would split the Texas schools,
right,
and lose at Ole Miss. So right now I'm looking like a genius.
Well,
but it's a long way to go.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I was bragging that I was 4-0 against the spread so far this season until Saturday, and by no means was I correct. And it's funny. I was having discussions with people all day, and it's like a catch-22. It's like one hand washes the other, or because you look at this team and you're like, okay, this is what we expected. This is the tempo we expected. This is the running game we expected. This is the DJ Lagway we expected. This is the defense. These are the receivers we expected. And then you're like, there's no way that this was the same game plan the other 4 games. I mean, no way. And so you're like, did you need 2 weeks to prepare for this type of team? I mean, Texas is talented. They got some dudes. They got some receivers. I think Arch Manning is going to be a good quarterback. Somebody told me, well, he's a good 3-star quarterback. Well, I mean, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of 3-star quarterbacks in the NFL. So, that really means nothing. I think one of them at least one of them was playing quarterback for the Chiefs last night and has 4 Super Bowls. So what he is, what he isn't, he's got speed, good pocket presence, and he's got a rifle of arm. And he literally threw that post route to Wingo on one leg, climbing the pocket. So, I think he'll be good. But same thing with DJ Lagway. I thought DJ Lagway could get better, would get better, but I didn't know if he'd get better under Napier. And he probably played his best game. I mean, I think it was the 3rd best passer rating, but for me, maybe his best game as a quarterback, Rob. So, I mean, I just, it's a lot of questions because, like I said, you don't know about Texas and you really don't know about Florida. All we know is Florida beat Texas for the first time in school history. And anytime you can do that, it's a good thing. But after that, I really don't know what to think, Rob.
Well, Texas and Penn State, again, have not beaten a Power 4 team this season. 3 of the top 4 teams in the preseason polls are out of the rankings completely. Okay. Look at, Clemson's out too.
Yeah.
And they're not beating anybody, any quality competition. And DJ Lagway obviously was hurt and nobody knew exactly what was going on, but he missed so much work in the winter and the spring and the summer. And it's just like he wasn't in class all semester until 2 weeks before the final exam. He showed up in early May. I mean, come on. Unless he's got the answers when he goes in the bathroom on the towel thing, when you get paper towels out, how are you going to pass the test? And that's what you're seeing now. What might happen, very possibly will happen, is every week from here on out, DJ Lagway is going to start being who everybody thought he was going to be before the season because he's simply getting rep. Remember, repetition is the mother of all skill. And you look around, I didn't buy the LSU Kool-Aid because of Brian Kelly. I'm not sold on Brian Kelly. I mean, I get it. He's from Boston. They drop a lot of really nasty. I mean, that episode on Netflix, Any Given Saturday, come on, the cameras are going to be there. Do you have to act like Howard Stern? I mean, potty mouth. I remember watching TV when Raquel Welch or Angie Dickinson or Dolly Parton, whoever would come on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon. Ed McMahon would be half passed out on the couch. Johnny Carson would just be going, wow, I did not know that. And we just kind of imagined, but it wasn't, this is where we are. And you look at the SEC. Wait till we go to 9 games next year. There's going to be a lot of crappy football, and fans are going to be freaking out. Some schools are going to have to play 5 conference games on the road next year. Then you're going to have 4 at home. And if you're like Auburn, your athletic director just sold your opening game to Atlanta to the Aflac Kickoff Classic. I like the Kickoff Classic, but how'd you like to be a local merchant in Gainesville or Auburn or Tuscaloosa? I mean, that's a $30 million a weekend type of deal. So, one thing about DJ Lagway that I like, he never seems to lose his cool. And remember, we're obsessed as a culture with these kids. You know what Matt Stinscombe called it on our show Thursday when he was on with us? I said, where'd the offensive linemen go? He goes, I got to tell you, in the bowl game, he said, Boston College has a good offensive line. He goes, but in the SEC, maybe it's Vanderbilt. And he goes, all this pajama football, that's what he calls 7-on-7. It's like, oh, who are those 5 guys on the other side of the line of scrimmage? I forget them. We're going against air. We're not producing offensive linemen anymore. So LSU can't run the ball. How's Florida's running game look? Clemson can't run the ball. These kids, it's too easy now. I don't think a lot of them care when they lose, when they got $250,000 or $500,000 on their mobile app when they look at their checking account. You'll sleep better at night. I think that's what's going on. And then you got a guy like Jake Slaughter, who sounds a lot like Hulk Hogan. I mean, from Marion County. That's your leader. If I was the coaches, I'd say, look, dude, you do what you got to do to restore order on the offensive line. I'm looking the other way. You go handle it. You know what they got to do.
And maybe that's what they did the last 2 weeks, because it looked like, it was almost like, and like I said before, it was they won the one-on-one matchups. I mean, and they won the 50-50s, which that's what good receivers do. You and I both know every quarterback has thrown his share of 50-50 balls, and some great receiver. I mean, everybody talks about Dallas Wilson, but the post throw to Vernell Brown was just as key at just a greater play. So you got some young receivers. All the receivers really played well. And, like I told somebody, if Hayden Hansen doesn't fumble that football, they probably go down and score again. So, I mean, it wasn't like you got to give it. I mean, that was plus territory. You got to give them credit. But I think, I don't know. It like you said, it's like Chris Doering was on the SEC network. He said, as a Florida fan, I got to love it. But I'm disturbed because where was this the whole time? And it's like, you've seen this now 2 years in a row after a bye week with Napier, where it's like, okay, they get it together and here we go. But what is going on with that team early in the year that, I mean, like you said, is it just trying to weasel it in and massage it into the first few weeks of the season? Or is, like Perry Mason said, with DJ's hurt. I mean, at this point in time, Rob, everybody's hurt. Everybody's got a little something. But, I mean, some of the balls he threw and looked like he was, his arm ain't hurt, and from what I understand, maybe there's a little shoulder, maybe there was a sports hernia, but, we watch him walk in, and Zach can speak to that. We watch him walk into the press conference with very little limp and very, got flip-flops on, no boot. So, I mean, I think it's just one of them things where, now you got to play a man's game and you got to,
Well, think about this. Think about if a band that we grew up loving, Leonard Skinner, Led Zeppelin, you name it, and the lead singer is
Prince
out
in the
sick.
Revolution.
Prince, God, he's on another level. But seriously,
Earth, Wind, and Fire. There you go.
I was going to say Earth, Wind, and Fire. I love,
but
are the Stones, or you name them. And the lead singer, the lead guitarist is out flat on his back with open heart surgery, or he's got, diverticulitis. or something, and he's out for 6 months, and the band's on tour. Okay, they're just grabbing whoever they can that can sing and yodel, like Cousin Pearl on Beverly Hillbillies, and then 6 months in, okay, well, I'm a little rusty. You join on at the Hollywood Bowl in front of 20,000 people. It's going to take you a few shows to get comfortable again in front of the. That's what's. I mean, listen to Pete Cordelli and Ellis Johnson and all these coaches we have on the morning show, and this. You're from Ohio. Ohio's just like Alabama. Same deal. It's the same football mentality. Mm-hmm. It's the Spartan culture. It's the warrior culture. You ask other states, what do you do for a living? Well, we're student athletes in Ohio and Alabama. What do you do for a living? Football. But that's where they are. And in Texas, I just think, and DJ, you saw it again. I don't know. I'm just kind of speculating, but we hear from pretty smart people. He missed so much. What did you expect? It's just like if you missed all the semester until the week before the final exam. He's just now kind of getting comfortable. And fortunately, the SEC, it's vicious. And it's not forgiving. It's like being a wildebeest calf born on the Serengeti. They can run within 3 minutes of birth. If they can't run within 3 minutes of birth, there's somebody's lunch.
Yeah.
And that's the SEC. That's what it is.
Yeah, no doubt. And speaking of getting things done, the great people at Meldon Law, proven and skilled injury lawyers since 1971, the only official law firm of the Florida Gators. I think the Meldons did. I think they were having dinner with the women's basketball team last night. So just doing a number of great things within the community here in Gainesville. Now a ton of locations throughout the state. I've been to, I think, the Gainesville, a couple Gainesville locations, Ocala, Lake City. But the biggest thing is follow them on Facebook and Instagram because they have a really great giveaway. I really encourage folks to, you think you won't win. And I sit here as a winner of 3 or 4 pairs of tickets and got to put, speaking of Texas, got to go out with the Meldons and give the game ball for the basketball game last year. So have a great giveaway where you get like a nice weekend, man, for the cocktail party, Rob. I mean, you can't beat that. Hotel, dinner, 2 tickets. I mean, so jump on that. But just most importantly, if you need anything, any law needs, injury law, they got you. If it's something they don't do, they could point you in the right direction with somebody that can help you with anything you need. So Meldon Law, proven and skilled injury lawyer since 1971, the only official law firm of the Florida Gators. We won't back down. And with that, we welcome in my man, the truth teller, Zach Goodall, Swamp 247. Hey. Man, just saw a lot, Zach. I think we kind of gave each other the eye. We didn't really get to talk after the game, but we just kind of gave each other the eye like, okay, I guess. Yeah. But, you were there at the presser, and obviously you watched from the press box. Just your thoughts on the game itself. Let's just right now compartmentalize the game, and then we'll talk about the broader picture as we continue to move forward the next 7 games.
Yeah, I mean, part of me feels the need to look at the bigger picture, but what's already been painted, right? Or what's already been photographed, I guess. Because I certainly did not expect to see what we saw on Saturday based on what even the Long Island game factored in, what we had seen over the first 4 games of the season. And that in particular is referencing DJ Lagway. In that Long Island game, he wasn't great. It was, my opinion was we had seen through 4 games what it seemed like we were going to see of DJ Lagway this year. I know I mentioned it to you where it looks like he had still had problems with the throwing shoulder. Those didn't appear to happen at all on Saturday. Matter of fact, when he took that shot and hurt his leg in the first half, I thought that made him play better afterwards. Because we've heard from Billy, we've heard from DJ that some of these procedural or even these holding penalties the offensive lines had is where DJ's bailed on a progression, moved the play out of the pocket and tried to do something on his own. Well, he wasn't really able to do that with the leg injury when he had to jump up. And all of a sudden, he's being forced to sit back there, go through his progressions, make his reads, look safeties off. Like on that Vernell throw, the 60-yarder, he had to look off that left field safety just to open Vernell up on the middle of the field. And as a result, I thought it was honestly one of the best games of his career. And the defense is another story. I'm sure we'll get into it. But like that was my single biggest takeaway, even though I was probably more impressed with the defense from start to finish. DJ looked like the quarterback people were expecting him to look like. And that was so critically important.
Yeah. And I think that lost on that is also, and it's funny, like it was almost like injury, for instance, the injury to Jacoby Jackson, and really not approved. I don't know what's going on with Katie Daniels. I know Trayon Webb still continues to be injured. And so you had, is it Deuce Clark?
Duke Clark.
Clark, kind of came in. Unfortunately, he left the game and headed to the locker room, and we'll get a report on that tomorrow. But you almost had to run the ball, if you know what I mean. And I thought that this would be an offense that wouldn't have to depend on DJ Lagway to throw for almost 300 yards, because any issues they would have, they would be able to run their way out of it. And on Saturday, they did. I mean, and that was, you mix in all that and the fact that they control both lines of scrimmage, it was like, what happened? Like, what am I watching? I mean, I couldn't even, I sit down with my wife and some friends, and I know you can't cheer in the press box, but I wasn't cheering sitting in the stands. I was just like, they're playing really well. But then in the back of my mind, it's like they're 2-3. And it's like if you flipped it and they were 4-1, or, it'd be a totally different thing. And they could at least be what? Well, they could be the 2-5. They could be 3-2, basically. They should have beat South Florida 3-2. And would this feel different? But right now, you got to win over Texas. You always take that. But it's like, okay, where are we with, with the team? And you heard Billy said all the right things. He tells you like it is in his way. He didn't tell any lies. I mean, but it was just, that's what it was.
Yeah, and that's where, like, I do want to look at this through the lens of Texas probably is not as good as people thought they were going to be. Like, people are throwing this all on Arch. You saw that story, I'm sure, today where the Athletic is saying he's a flop.
Yeah,
like,
no way.
No, to me, and he's not what everyone thought he was going to be, but that's the media's problem for hyping him up the way that they did. That offensive line was atrocious. He had nothing to work with. And there were times where his receivers got open. He saw it. He would have made the throw if he weren't getting absolutely clocked at the release or right after the release. Like, I don't view that as necessarily on him. But regardless, broader point being, I'm not sure Texas is that quality of a football team. And obviously, they've now dropped out of the top 25 as a result of this loss and the Ohio State loss, yada, yada, yada. So I do have to look forward, and I think, okay, is this an anomaly? Is this like the swamp was on their side? They had the bye week advantage. Are they going to be able? I'm not going to pick them to beat Texas A&M for starters. I don't know what my prediction is yet, but I think that team is very good. You're going into College Station. I still have a lot from Florida's first few games of the season that give me a lot of pause on Florida being able to go in and unseat Texas A&M like that. But this is obviously a fantastic step in the right direction, because there is so much positive you can pull from that game. Again, whether it's DJ, Dallas Wilson being the player, more than the player that we all thought he could be when we talked about him throughout the offseason. And then the defense, again, as well as it's played throughout the season, it's really been the bend, don't break, not getting the turnovers, not getting the sacks, not getting the pressure, but just doing their jobs. This was the breakout party that the defense needed. The multiple interceptions, 34 quarterback pressures. They doubled their season-long pressure count in one game, tripled their sack count in one game. Everything came together in perfect fashion. And at a minimum, it gives you some optimism that even if Florida's not going to go in and beat Texas A&M, they can play Texas A&M. I wouldn't have thought that before this week.
Yeah. Rob, I mean, you go back and you look at, I think you got to give Florida some credit. And like Zach said, I don't think you put this all on Arch. The one thing I will say that Texas has is if Arch can improve, that car is humming, because if you were looking at some of the route designs, some of the play designs, I mean, they were running some stuff. So shout out to Steve Sarkisian for drawing them up. I mean, he was drawing them up. And like you said, anytime you can get pressure with 4, and I mean, that every sack, I think, was a 4-man pressure. Correct me if I'm wrong, Zach, but I think it was of some variety, some mixture of 4-man pressure. And like you said, if you can get pressure with 4, it's going to be a long night, for any quarterback. And, go ahead.
They may have gotten one with 5, but to your point, they blitzed at a higher rate than they typically do. I think it was like a 45% blitz rate. They sent 6 one time. Every other time was 5. Obviously, so many of the simulated pressures. And to the point you're making, a lot of traditional 4-man just got home, just wrecked.
Just got home. Yeah. I mean,
it was good. It was quality.
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean, one time, they sent the nickel and the boundary corner twice and got a sack on both times. I mean, so you had the Benson sack and you had the Moore sack. But Rob, I mean, I think that, maybe this is the former player in me. I think it's unfair. I don't say unfair. I think Arch Manning is going to be a pretty good quarterback. I mean, he may not be what people thought he was going to be, but I think with the things he's going to have around him and some of the throws he made, and if you want to call him a 3-star, okay, maybe he was a 3-star. A lot of 3-stars getting paid money to wake up every Saturday morning and go play football. So I think that, I think people, like you said, shame on us, some of us in the media, but, let's say he isn't Peyton and he isn't Eli. He still could end up being a pretty good quarterback. I mean, I think that this is, and to the young man's credit, it's almost unfair to him because from what I understand, he's a pretty good dude to be around. He carries himself well, and I think everybody likes to pile on because of maybe the uncles and the family and things like that. But just like anybody else, I mean, he's got some tools. If you didn't think he did some good things, I mean, he's making hash to hash throws, hash to number throws. Those are 5-star throws. Trust me, I played with one. So every high school quarterback, they can't make those throws. So, I mean, it's not, I mean, speak to that, Rob, or just the whole,
Well, I mean, look, I live in Memphis, and the Mannings, I have a farm down in the Delta that I hunt right near Drew, where they're from. I mean, it's bigger than life. But here's some facts. Dave Bartu on our show every week, College Football Matrix, the gummy guy. He's smart. He puts together stats for college and pro teams. Here's some facts. Steve Sarkisian is 2-8 versus top 10 teams at Texas. He's 5-18 versus top 10 teams all time. Last season, Sark played one team in the SEC that finished the season ranked, and that was a team he played twice and lost both times to Georgia. Let's just admit it. He underperforms. He underwhelms the talent that he has. I know a lot about Texas, and we're going to have Ken Capps on the show Friday, one of the best writers in the country, Football Writers Association of America. His son's named Austin. I mean, they are gung-ho. I got a lot of Texas friends. It's as frustrating to them as it is anybody. It's like a kid that's born into a wealthy family with unlimited funds who was born on third base and thinks he hit a triple. I'm not saying Arch is doing that, but he's not ready. And Texas has the money to get any stud player they want in the state of Texas and around the country. And you know what? They bring the groceries home. They buy the best groceries, but they're not developing the talent. And you know what? Arch, there's almost this kind of sick puppy dog love. Like, well, he's going to be great. Everybody wants to get in line so they can, bow down to this Manning culture. Good. No, I'm not doing it. He's good. But damn it, Florida tore his ass up Saturday. 6 sacks. How many pressures did they get? Give Florida credit. And you know what? Texas was number 1 preseason. And you go back to 1970. They have a $43 billion endowment. That's bigger than all of the SEC endowments combined, including Texas A&M. They have all that money. And I don't look. We had Mac Brown on a couple of weeks ago. Love him. He probably is as frustrated as anybody. But when you got $80 and $90 million high school football stadiums, a lot of these kids, by the time they get to college, man, the stadium was pretty nice too, and they're put up on a pedestal. We've seen Friday Night Lights. Arch has the physical tools, we think, but he has no offensive line. When you replace 4 starters, that's a big deal. Let's say you had a surgical team, and you lost 4 of your top 5 surgeons, and a 20-car pileup comes into trauma ER. How are you going to handle that? You going to get the resident over there who's on their 35th hour of a 36-hour rotation? I mean, I'll tell you what, Zach is a damn truth broker. You're up there with Roman Harper. You're not afraid. You don't give a damn. Does the dress make me look fat? Yeah, it does. Especially when the wind blows.
Well,
I'm not wearing a dress, but
right.
and I have nothing against Arch Manning, but I saw the man crush, the fawning at SEC Media Days. And in fact, I intentionally did not go over there to that rugby scrum of people. I mean, it's like, we know, look, there's nothing, I don't dislike the kid, but he's not there. And Sark consistently every season underperforms and underwhelms the talent. Are we going to start talking about him like we do James Franklin? I don't know.
I mean, I would say that, I mean, if you, in that regard, I think that, I mean, that would be a question you had to ask Texas fans, but I would say that when you throw those numbers out there, which you've highlighted many a time, absolutely, but the problem is there ain't a lot of James Franklins and there ain't a lot of Steve Sarkisians.
No, they're not.
And that's and I mean, when you talk about just even getting you to where you've been, I mean, face it, they've gotten both programs to heights that Billy Napier himself has not gotten Florida to. So, when you look at comparative and you look at different guys around the country, there ain't many. And which brings us to the next truth point, Zach, is this win. I've gone on record saying that I think it's over. I think you and I have had that conversation. I think Florida will have a new football coach in 2026. Now, does this win mean that I have to apologize just yet? Or, what is this going to be 3 months from now? I mean, where is this? Are we headed? Are we headed to, boom, 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 we're going, 8 out of, 5 out of the next 7 or 6 out, whatever. Are we going to, 9-3 or that 8-4 and maybe make some changes in the staff and keeping, or is this just one of those things where big win at home, and then like we've seen before, and I wrote about it, then you get the listless, kind of unmotivated show on the road?
I think it still is going to come down to Florida being better than it was last year at this point. I think that the expectations were set, and despite, like, we saw Scott Strickland the other night look thrilled about the win, but I think he also is at a point now where he knows what's up. We've not seen, despite this incredibly sluggish start sans the Texas game, him come out and make a vote of confidence like he did twice last year in a couple of months. He's been quiet, and to me, it's for a reason. And that's not to say, like, if Florida miraculously, and I'm not predicting this, but they do go 8-4 in the regular season, then in theory, you have improved from last year. Even after the sluggish start, Billy probably stays. If they win fewer, if they go 7-5, 6-6, worse, like, I think is still totally fair to predict at this point with what's coming and what we can assume is maybe Texas was not all that it was hyped up to be. Good win as it was. I still would lean toward there being a significant change made. And maybe I eat crow. Maybe at some point you and I both have to apologize. But I don't, even after this win, I don't think it's something that we would necessarily need to walk back and be like, well, if I was wrong, they're not changing anything, because it's going to take a lot more, especially for Florida fans. I mean, the Swamp was loud. They announced 90,000. It wasn't 90,000. There were empty. There were.
You got a better view than I do. I'm kind of, but I I'm dialed in. So yeah, you saw. I mean, yeah, it was a sellout, but it wasn't. We weren't crammed in there. I mean, and I had 4 open seats behind me after about the first quarter. So
right they're the enthusiasm even after this win, I bet, is still not going to be back up to where it was before because of the way that things started. It's going to take that miraculous turnaround like we saw last year and some for people to be forgiving of how this started. And I would personally expect it's going to take a lot for Billy Napier to hold on to his job. I'm not saying that the ship has sailed or anything, because ultimately no one knows aside from the people inside the building. But I certainly don't think they're looking at this one win and saying, okay, all is forgiven internally, at least.
Yeah. And Rob, what is it about a win like this? Because we're 4 days removed from, 3 days removed, 3.5 from this win, and you don't hear the talk anymore. You don't hear it's like everybody's dialed into the Texas game. What is it about a win like this? Is it because people in the Florida realm don't really want to go out, and if it's not Lane Kiffin, grab another Sun Belt American Conference coach? But things have really, it's almost like there wasn't a parade in Gainesville, but it was almost like a sigh of relief that, hey, like it's like in the military where the bombs stop going off. You're like, well, we better sleep now for about 20 minutes before the next barrage, and we got to get up. Let's try to get some sleep. It's almost like everybody just took a collective sigh of, but it's just nothingness right now, Rob.
All right. So in the stock market, you got 3 or 4 days where the market's going down 500 and 1,000 points. Bam, bam, bam. Then you come in on a Friday, market's up 2,500 points. We call it a fool's rally or a dead cat bounce. And then you know what happens? After lunch on a Friday when the weather's nice on Wall Street, a lot of traders go out in the Hamptons, get on their boats and get messed up. They're done. So the market can sway big either way. Then you come in Monday. People have had all weekend to talk about the market. Well, Florida people, like a lot of fan bases, they're scared. They're going, I want to get excited, but they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Okay. That's where you are right now. And it's a lot of fan bases because you're paying all this money. You're going, I paid for a Ruth's Chris steak, and I could have got this at CK's coffee shop for $7.95 or Denny's. It's not very good.
Right.
That's where we
don't
are.
knock skillet steak and eggs though. At Denny's,
I'm not going to. I know we're all in the South. I'm not going to touch the Waffle House. By the way, Zach, you're pretty young. I think you're 26, 27. I got a 27-year-old son and a 25-year-old and 2 girls too. Oh my God. They had this betting thing in my son's fraternity at Auburn. And if you lost, have you ever heard of the Waffle House Challenge?
Of course.
Oh,
of course. I had friends lose the Waffle House Challenge.
So one of Wilson's fraternity brothers, it was so gross. This kid was up there for 15 hours. He was just, it was. I mean, I was like, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, man. There's nothing on that. But I think that's where we are. I mean, I'm just telling you, God bless America. Florida, the swamp it's hell on earth for an opposing team when things are going right. But hell, I don't blame Florida fans. When you have a Spurrier run, then you have Urban Meyer, but you know what? Dan Mullen, you probably take him back right now. What he did, I think. Did y'all read the Athletics 6 parts? They wrote 6 reasons why Florida football is where they are now. I thought, Zach, number 5 or 6 was that the great runs of those coaches, Spurrier and Meyer, every coach is compared to them. So they're so quick to, all right, it's not working. If you have a vegetable garden and you go out in the backyard and pull up the squash and the tomatoes and the okra by the roots every day to check their progress, you're not going to get anywhere. But it's hard in our culture of instant gratification to change. I don't know. You're not going to change it. What people need to see, if Florida goes on the road and beats Texas A&M, which I think they can. I mean, Hey, who's A&M beating? A Notre Dame
Yeah.
team that's 3-2, an Auburn team that's like beating up a man in a hospital bed. And I mean, I'm just being honest. Auburn fans have been asked to drive to the Georgia game in single file with their lights on. People, please yield to the Auburn fans while going to the game. I mean, because you're killing hope at a lot of schools. I'm going to tell you what, though, at least Florida's got a quarterback. And when DJ Lagway, what'd you say, Loren? He's walking around not on a boot. He is.
Did
just
you see a limp? I didn't see a limp.
No.
Did you see
Zach,
a limp, Zach?
Yeah, Zach, did you see one?
In the game, I thought he was a bit, but it was not because of the foot.
No, I'm talking
It was
about at the
because
press conference. I didn't see a limp, and he had flip-flops on.
Not at the press conference. No.
Yeah,
It seemed maybe like right after the hit for a little bit. There was
Right.
a
Well,
bit of
yeah.
blood,
I mean, yeah.
But Zach, don't you agree with my analogy about the band? I mean, the lead singer has been out for 6 months. He had open heart surgery, but the band's got to fulfill that worldwide tour. And he joins them in Jakarta, Indonesia, in front of 100,000 people. I'm a little rusty, mates, but let me drink a little purple drink here and smoke a little, and I'm ready to go. But
Right.
that's kind of what happens. I mean, that's
well,
what.
No doubt.
But I mean, y'all, you know what, Loren, Ohio and Alabama are Spartan football states, and I like what you said. Talk about the throws; those are 5-star throws, and then you talk about the limp. People pay analysts and coaches to go out in the warm-ups to look for any irregularities on opposing teams' players. That's kind of where we are. We got Sherlock Holmes out there.
We got a guy sitting in front of us. He has to write about that, I think, every pregame if he sees a limp or you gotta note some of that, don't you, Zach? People eat that stuff up. But speaking of eating them up, it's that time. Now, this is a kind of a public service announcement because these are my pickleball shoes that I just got in the mail. That I'm going to be wearing at the women's basketball pickleball tournament at the, I think it's called the Hyper Cage or Super Cage or something in Kissimmee, Florida. So if you're online, they still have tickets available. Come out and play pickleball with Coach Finley and the girls. So I'll be there Saturday. Zach, I think you'll be headed to College Station. But these right here, the Foam Rally New Balance. Wide fit, Rob, for the bunion. I'll be ready to roll. So that's this week's Kicks of the Week. Come out and support women's basketball for sure. They got a fashion show going on the week of homecoming Thursday night at the Cade Museum. So come check them out. The ladies will be in their best fit, and maybe we get Kelly Ray Finley on next week to talk about it. But here we are, the best time in sports. Hyper have at it. I'm going to knock it out the next 15 minutes. First, Hyper have at it. After all this talk, good win or was Texas overrated? Zach, you go first. Hyper have at
it. Yes. That's it. It's like it's both, right? It's got to be both. And I hate to cop out first time around. Absolutely necessary win. And from that perspective, it has to be a good win. But also, to the points we were making earlier, don't need to get back into it too much. They greatly oversold Texas this season, and Arch isn't it and that again, like that's the media's fault. Me going against the media is crazy, but like that's their fault. They crowned the kid without him ever playing, and the rest of the talent there, despite the money and resources they have, I think the defense is still very good. It can be. It had some injury concerns, but like that's all they've got right now.
Right. Hyper have at it, Rob. Good win or is Texas overrated?
It's a good win because it's Texas, but it's overrated because Texas. I mean, but you don't blame Florida. I'm with Zach. You've got a lot of people that just, what's everybody else think? Hey, if you want to make the wrong decision, ask a bunch of other people. Just make your own. That's one thing Roman Harper says. He goes, I don't watch and listen to all that. He goes, I have to make my own decisions or else other people's opinions become my opinions. And I like what Zach just said. I mean, it is good, but put several of those together. The Florida standard is double-digit wins in the last 35 years.
Yeah.
I mean, again, from 1989 to 2009, Florida was the winningest team in college football. I'll say it again. 20-year period. You're the number one. And then another thing, everybody wants to rip on Ohio State. They hadn't played anybody. I don't care who they play. They beat the hell out of Godzilla right now. For Ohio State's they're the best team
No
in the
doubt.
country.
Yep.
I mean, they just are. We have. I love the SEC. I mean, I got 16 kids. We cover them all. But damn, man. And Oregon. Hey, you would have thought Saturday night we're all gonna be watching Oregon and Indiana.
Well, I tell people
Come
this,
on.
Rob. You want to see a good SEC team? Take 75 north, turn right. When you get to Columbus, stop there. That's a good SEC football team.
But look at all the kids they get from the South and Texas and Florida. Where's Jeremiah Smith from?
Yeah.
Another Catholic school in Fort Lauderdale. Another Catholic school.
Hyper have at it. This was not an kind of anomaly, and Lagway continues to play well despite what the Gators' record may be. Hyper have at it, Rob.
I think as long as the offensive line protects him, because if he's getting the reps and he's healthy mentally, he's also going to get healthy every week. So yes, I don't think it's an anomaly.
Zach?
I don't want to say I think it's an anomaly because anything could happen, as this weekend proved. But there's still so much for them to prove to me. Like, I don't want to hang my hat just on the one. I really think Texas A&M, even regardless of who they've played, like Marcel Reed, if you look at Florida's defense, this is the perfect example last year, the type of quarterback that can really give them trouble. So, even if Florida is better than the first 4 weeks suggested, they go into Texas A&M and get, gashed by Marcel Reed, we're kind of right back to where we were before, at least in terms of the noise amplifying. So I don't want to call it an anomaly yet, but I want to check back in on that one in a couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, and as I said in my South Florida pregame article and my postgame article on Sunday, the thing that Florida has struggled with the most under Billy Napier is what I consider running quarterbacks, where the quarterback not just scrambles, but is an active participant in the run game. That has been the number one glaring thing. And you saw it against South Florida. You saw it against Reed last year. You saw it with Cam Ward last year. So, I think a no-star quarterback, by the way, Cam Ward, who ended up number one pick in the draft. I'm giving a shout out for stars. Don't matter, really. All right, Dallas Wilson, big game, breakout game, best game by a Florida freshman receiver in history. Is Dallas Wilson this year's Jeremiah Smith? Hyper have at it, Zach.
I think you've heard me compare him to Jeremiah Smith before, so I'm all for it. And I get that comes with people saying, how could you put those expectations on a guy without him ever playing? I don't necessarily think he's going to put up 1,315. I don't necessarily think he's going to be an All-American. He looks a lot like it based on the returns we've gotten, and it's more about the style of play. It's about what he's able to do at his position, the polish, not just being a big guy who can jump. Like, he can run routes. He's agile. I mean, we saw that release on the 55-yard touchdown. He just absolutely dusts guy. And then the physicality comes out at the end zone. He trucks an all-SEC reigning All-American safety to get into the end zone. The guy looks just completely helpless. Yeah, that's a Jeremiah Smith caliber of receiver. That's the type of receiver Jeremiah Smith is. And Dallas, I think, absolutely can be and might be the next guy in line when it comes to those type of impact players as rookies.
Yeah, Rob?
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with what Zach said because he's so big at 6'3", 215. Is he out of Tampa Catholic? Is that where he's from?
Yes. No,
Tampa Bay Tech.
Yeah, Tech or Tampa.
Yeah. I mean, just give me the top player from each of the Catholic schools in the state of Florida, and I'll win a national championship every year, and I'll have a game day mass to go with it. But no, I'm with Zach. You're that big and that athletic. He's a receiver back, like a receiver running back. I mean, they're going to have plays for him where he run. There's no telling what you can do with Dallas. Hell, Oregon built their class around him.
Right.
So no, I think he's just getting started. Just the importance of DJ being mentally healthy. That's the key, man. Because if you're worried and you're worried and you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, you're not going to be very effective. I think DJ's going out there and there's a long season to go. But you're right about Marcel Reed. He's not the greatest passer, but man, he can make things happen with his feet. But DJ's a much better passer. But we all know when things fall apart, you got to be able to run. And that's what Marcel Reed's good. And they got 7 of their top 8 offensive linemen back this year. That's why A&M's winning the games they're winning. Their defense is good too. But man, that offensive line is old, and
I think they do a really good job with those 2 big tight ends too, kind of getting them matched up. I mean, they were like against Notre Dame, they just basically threw a jump ball, and it was like, here you go, turn around, post up, and there you go. So that was,
that was funny.
Speaking of Jeremiah Smith, and we got a little time. What was it? So Zach, do you know? He mentioned the death of his mom. Mom passed. Do you know anything? He kind of just went quick with it. Said my mom's name was Lisa. She passed away.
Yeah.
Do we know anything else about? Just to shed light on it, good or bad?
Not like details or anything specifically, but I know. It was right around late last year, I want to say.
Wow.
So it was close. He's preparing at that point, having been committed to Oregon to leave his family. Like he was raised, or I don't want to say raised, but as of late, he had been living with his grandmother. And I think he's even come out and said that his grandmother isn't in like the greatest of health right now. So paired with losing his mom, I just don't think he wanted to leave his family at this point, and that really changed things for him kind of there at the last minute. It helped that he's now only 2 hours away from them.
Right. Well, I don't know, for late Lisa Wilson, your son did a great job and has been great in front of the media and carries himself extremely well. So mom will be proud. Hyper have at it. 7 wins saves Napier's job. Hyper have at it, Rob. No, 7 wins does not. So he's got 1 mulligan. 8-4 or bust.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, look what you're putting into it. Look around the SEC. When you pay these guys this much money and they've been doing it 15, 20 years, start looking at the net worth they've accumulated. Failure to thrive syndrome sets in.
Zach?
I'm the same way. I don't think 7 does it. I think 8-4 could. I don't think 7 does it.
Is 8-4, Zach, and I've talked to some of our other colleagues, I've heard he was told by the money people hire an offensive coordinator. Strickland may have told him hire, but then it was just kind of like, no. Would this be a situation where they say, we don't care who you hire, but at 8-4 you will or 7-5, 8, you will no longer be the play caller if you want to retain employment with the state of Florida?
Yeah, I think the ship has sailed. I think if it got to a point where they got there, they're like, either hire an offensive coordinator or we're letting you go. I think they're just letting him go, right? Because it is at year 4. It is at the point where the expectations aren't met in such a critical year. That where are you getting with that if you're making that kind of demand at that point? And quite frankly, we just heard enough from Billy. I don't think he's ever going to give it up. I don't think they could do anything I don't think they could give him a raise and say, but it comes on the condition that you get an offensive coordinator. I don't think you do it.
And I don't think it's somebody maybe could do better. I just keep saying, I thought he called a pretty decent game the other day. There's just so much that goes on to have to do it 12 weeks out of the season. You might get it right once or twice, but there is so much that goes on during a game where you just don't need to be focused on calling plays. That's really been my thing. We can argue whether he's good at it, bad at it, somebody would be better. I just think as a head coach at this level, the way the game is changing, it's just too hard, just too hard. So we'll end with that. Zach, what we writing on this week other than Texas A&M? Got anything else brewing?
I just today, it's funny enough, we were talking about the pass rush and blitzing and all that. I did my all 22 today. I watched every drop back. I didn't write every drop back because that would be so much. But I did a whole breakdown on the pass rush, the breakout game they had, just like what they were doing schematically. Guys like Brian Taylor coming out and totally shocking me. Like, never thought I'd see that out of him. If you want little nuggets on what worked, who stood out the most in the pass rush, that's all over at Swamp 247. And then, tomorrow moving into full-blown Texas A&M content. We're going to have Graham out there actually for us this week. I'll be staying home to cover it, but excited to do that from the comfort of my couch.
Man, come down and play some pickleball then, man, Kissimmee, Florida. I'll see that.
Maybe.
No doubt.
Send me the address, but I'm very much looking forward to the comfort of my couch. I've been moving around too much the last couple of weeks.
Rob, who you got on the show tomorrow?
Got let's see, Jake Wimberly, Will Gunner, the game over in Columbia, South Carolina, Gamecock country. Jake Wimberly, Jackson, Mississippi, all things in the Magnolia State. Dudley Dawson, inside Arkansas. Vince Farrar, the sports animal up in Knoxville. And we'll talk a lot about pajama football, its effect, its negative effects, all this 7-on-7, what's happened to offensive linemen. Where did those big guys go who are the best guys to put in your wedding as groomsmen? Where are they? Where are the big
Speaking of big fellas, Titan MRI and Imaging. Joe Calorio is back running Titan MRI. It has 3 locations, 2 in Gainesville with this Park Avenue location, and now at the Millennium Center and 1 in Lake City, serving all of Columbia County and Valdosta, Georgia. Soon coming to Ocala. I think they may already be there. I got to check that out to better serve Marion County and the surrounding area. Titan MRI and Imaging now accepts insurance or through their convenient self-pay options. They offer MRIs, CT scans, X-rays, and ultrasounds. Easy scheduling with lots of options, including evenings, larger MRI machines for patient comfort. Titan MRI, it's your choice. And like I said, Rob, make sure you throw it out there. It's a game of kings played by savages.
That's right.
If you ain't ready to get rough, this is not the game for you.
Yeah.
And with that, we say good night. Thanks for joining us. It was Zach Goodall, Swamp 247, Rob Browne, ACC Sidelines. I'm your host, Loren Meadows of GatorBaitMedia.com. And we'll see you next week, recording live from somewhere. Thanks a lot.
Good night, everybody.
See you guys.